What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, today we are hopping right back into our map review series where we're taking a look at every single episode that Tim Hansen made, going over all the maps. Riese is today. I'm so excited. We are wrapping up World at War. Guys, let's just get into this here.
On the 6th of August, 2009, the sleeping giant had awoken. A revolution.
Okay, let's pause real quick and just soak that in for a minute. The 6th of August. 2009. That was the summer right before I started my freshman year of high school. Which back then we were still at the junior high, but oh well, it's not important.
Riese was not your ordinary zombies.
We are old, guys.
This map took
old.
it to an entirely new level. The previous three maps were very primitive. Nocturne and Toten was a singular building with very little to work with. Rucht was largely the same, but with perks. And though Shinonuma took us to a drastically different environment with much more space, the experience was far from advanced. Not only was Riese iconic and nostalgic like those maps, but it made some drastic innovations. Innovations that changed the structure of the game mode rather than some surface value gun or perk, and is one of, if not the most significant map in the zombie storyline. Every Zombies player who picked up the controller in 2009 and played this map for the first time realized that we were dealing with a different animal here. The map wasn't entirely foreign since it was based on the multiplayer map Nightfire, but was still unique. Riese was,
and that's something that I always forget, is that this map was actually based off of a multiplayer map. That's crazy. I always forget that until I see it like in a video or someone playing it, but
a pivotal experience and would ultimately be the turning point for Call of Duty Zombies. And today, we're going to analyze how it managed to do so. The ultimate story begins here. Group 935 builds the Riese facility to experiment with the newly discovered Element 115, creating wonder weapons, practice teleportation, and most notably create zombies. Having been funded by the Nazis, Dr. Maxis and Dr. Richthofen lead the charge to develop an army of super soldiers, paired with an arsenal of devastating wonder weapons, in which the Allies could not compete with. All of this dangerous experimenting and research would inevitably become unhinged, and zombies would break loose and take over the facility. Richthofen, driven by the desire for total control, teleports Samantha to the MPD
My boy
on
Ricky
the moon,
T.
and Maxis to the crazy place in Origins. In the MPD on the moon, Samantha would become corrupted by the dark ether and control the zombies, which is really where it all began. A large portion of the zombie storyline is revolved around this map. It is extremely important. All of the integral research done by
all of the brand new stuff that came to it too. I mean, like, just that revolutionized the game and made it the experience that we all love, with like Pack-a-Punch and just everything.
Is uncovered in this map. The ray gun, Wonderwaffe DG2, and Symbol Monkeys were all developed in this facility, along with, of course, the zombies and the hellhounds. And there is a lot of very important character development, especially between Richthofen and Maxis. We see Richthofen go from essentially a normal scientist to a madman trying to take over the universe. At the Riese facility, the concept of teleporters, wonder weapons, and zombies were all engineered. These are all integral components that have become so common in zombies maps that we hardly even pay attention to them.
That's what we were just talking about.
Regular they are.
Riese really brought the formula to zombies that is zombies.
Literally every single zombies map has a wonder weapon. Literally every single zombies map has zombies in them. And a lot of maps contain teleporters, monkey bombs, and the Bowie knife, which were all crafted in Riese. I presented to you a very brief summary of what went on at Riese. There are many other scientists, many other details, and it goes much deeper. But really what's important to know is that everything originated here. Of course, there were zombies in maps prior to Riese, but chronologically, this map took place before that. Clearly, Riese is a prominent fixture in the storyline, but it's also noteworthy for its gameplay. The player spawns in with two clear objectives. One, to turn on the power, and two, to link the three teleporters to the mainframe. Activating the power was familiar, but turning on the teleporters was new. Upon linking the three teleporters, the player not only had access to a reliable transportation method, but also the new revolutionary
we've been watching a lot of BO3
for just 5,000
Giant,
points, you could increase your gun's power tremendously.
Not the same.
And again,
experience
Pack-a-Punch is so
Riese.
common nowadays that we hardly bat an eye to it. But think about the first time ever opening up Pack-a-Punch. It added a new dimension to zombies. It empowered the player. A crappy round 15 attempt in which you struggle the entire time would be replaced with a potential round 50 go. For all guns, it increases
I wish I was
the
able
damage
to remember
output
all these firsts, like the first time, like we talked about in our previous episode in Shinonuma, like the first time experiencing hellhounds. I wish I could remember my first time pack-a-punching. I'm sure that feeling of like the hellhounds was scary, and then the first time pack-a-punching was just like you felt
stock ammunition.
Powerful.
For some, it also increased the reload speed. For some, it increased the fire rate. Some guns were granted attachments. For example, on the AUG,
it's easy to remember like your first game, but like all these other smaller firsts, M16, maybe not so
you got
much.
The grenade launcher attachment. Some guns were given new abilities altogether. For example, the crossbow would not only merely explode, but would also attract the zombies beforehand, similarly to a monkey bomb. The upgraded ballistic knife would allow you to revive teammates instantly by shooting them. Pack-a-punch would often take an ordinary gun and make it something special, something worth using. And it made already very powerful guns even more powerful. Instead of having to spin the box and get a new weapon every time. I'm wondering if it's just because it like looks better or something, but I wish we were watching more World at War gameplay, because the nitty-gritty of the World at War Riese is just atmospherically better, I feel like, for what we're talking about here. Ran out of ammo, you could pack-a-punch it. This made high rounds far more plausible. To trade in your gun, spin the box 40 times until you got it back to get more ammo, it was just inefficient and took far too long. Pack-a-punching fixed this and then some. It's difficult to put into words how important pack-a-punch was for the progression of zombies. Let's think hypothetically for a second. Imagine that they didn't add pack-a-punch into Riese, or any maps in the future. Players would likely get fed up with how ineffective their weapons were. Players would likely get bored with the game and
and they'd have to like keep adding stronger weapons to make up for
Round
it.
100 would be even less common than it already was. It's worrying to think about pack-a-punch not existing, which just goes to show how important it was. So important that it is the revolution. It's sort of a metaphor. Pack-a-punch was the thing that changed zombies. Sure, there were some other prominent innovations prior to Riese that changed the landscape, especially perks, but the perk-a-colas only help you so much. Pack-a-punch more than doubles your odds of survival. Pack-a-punch would evolve over time, much like zombies in general, in World at War and
That's what we're like. Riese just got it right, like with the perks and then the addition of pack-a-punch, some new like powerful weapons like the Wunderwaffe and the monkeys and stuff like that. It just kind of took the formula of like setting up, you know what I mean, like trying to get everything you need to get to the highest round possible and have a damn good time doing it. And this is where it started, Riese. This is where not only the story in zombies started, but kind of just like the experience that we kind of all expect. Now, Kino der Toten was definitely probably the majority of anybody watching this, probably the majority of you, your first map was Kino der Toten, or maybe something afterwards, but the like World at War, like this is it. This is where this is what set the bar.
In BO2, you were able to double pack-a-punch your weapon, but would only grant you an attachment. It wouldn't statistically enhance your gun. BO3 is where things got crazy. Like BO2, you could double upgrade your weapons,
I honestly always forgot that you could double upgrade in BO2.
In fact, infinitely. There were 5 different variants you could have upon double upgrading: Deadwire, Thunderwall, Fireworks, Blast Furnace, and Turn, all of which were unique and were slightly different, but ultimately worked.
So we must be talking about just all the Riese variations right now, because we're covering the original World at War Riese. We've kind of dipped a little bit into that BO1 remaster, and then now we're talking about Black Ops 3 alternate ammo types.
Infinite damage, meaning any gun in the entire game with double pack-a-punch was statistically the same as any other. A starting wall gun upgraded with a blast furnace attachment is just as good as any wonder weapon, which is obviously a controversial element to the game. Lots of players enjoy it in an equal amount.
What do you think? Did you guys like alternate ammo types? I personally, I'm going to say this over and over again. You're probably going to hear me say it hundreds of times over. I am a fan of anything that makes the player stronger. Okay, like getting OP is the point.
Dislike it. Regardless of how we feel about it, though, it shaped zombies, and it roots back to World at War Riese. Upgrading in BO4 zombies is similar but different. You have to upgrade 4 times plus the initial one to get it to its full capacity.
Give me RNG and my
totaling
Easter
up to
eggs.
15,000 points, which is a little ridiculous. And then there are, of course, 5 different variants for that as well. And I say all of that to say this. Imagine BO1 through BO4 zombies without pack-a-punch. Imagine not being able to upgrade weapons. How powerful will the wonder weapons be? How would training and camping strategies differ? Would players even want to continue playing? Would zombies exist in these games? The innovation of pack-a-punch on Riese was astronomical and, of course, revolutionary. The returning feature...
Adding pack-a-punch was huge, because then everybody wants to play again, because you can now go farther than what you were experiencing before. Anybody who dropped off before Riese, you know, those first couple DLC cycles, and anybody who dropped off because the game wasn't for them, maybe they got Reese because they wanted to try this new Pack-a-Punch feature that makes you stronger.
As and traps on top of these innovations is what made Reese so amazing. I picture World at War Zombies as a staircase. Nocturne Totem was the first step, creating the mode. We took another step with Varrock by adding power and perks. We took another step with Shinonuma by adding a wonder weapon and bosses. And then there's a giant step all the way up to the top, which was Reese. Reese was the final step of the staircase, which brought us to modern zombies. But the revolution of Reese goes beyond just Pack-a-Punch. This was the first map that offered both a legitimate training strategy and a legitimate camping strategy. On Noct and Varrock, we were camping hardcore since there wasn't much space to work with. On Shinonuma, there was a lot less camping and a lot more running around since we had much more space. But with Reese, we had a combination of both. The map isn't enormous, but there is quite a bit of training room. The most commonly used areas, I would say, are
then were designed for camping anyways. Like, a lot of the spots in Noct were great for camping, and then Varrock didn't really have any good training spots, but also didn't have any good like camping spots either. Varrock's just a hard map. Shinonuma, you could camp in like those in like the different like branches or whatnot, but there's also excellent
next to power, next to the far back teleporter, and at the mainframe. Players had the means to run around and horde zombies if they so chose, and if they preferred camping, well, they were set. Reese offered a myriad of narrow hallways in which a player could sit, lock, and load. In fact, the most iconic camping area from any...
Leave a like for all the memories on the catwalk. Leave a like right now for all of the good memories on the catwalk.
Map ever was bred from Reese, the catwalk. I cannot begin to describe the memories I have camping on the catwalk with my buddies. The four of us would sit up there, figure ourselves out. You camp out the window. You face forward and shoot the zombies. Whatever it took, man, we gave the zombies a run for their money. I know it sounds corny, but when we all united on that catwalk, there was a turning point there. It was a survival strategy that changed the game of zombies. Admittedly, camping up there solo wasn't the best idea for high rounds, but if you had a group of people, you could hold it down. And there's also a cool strategy that some of you may have used. You grab a bunch of bouncing betties, place them in the back, and if you get overrun, you back up, and the zombies all explode. That was sort of your backup in case shit hit the fan. The catwalk was such an effective and fun strategy that even people who like training,
you guys all did that. I know you did.
At some points, it can feel mindless and boring, but my memories suggest otherwise. It was a fun, inclusive, and badass strategy. You had not one, not two, but three means of escape if you were overrun.
Oh, dude, give someone the Wonder Waff, give someone the ray gun, someone has monkeys, you all got LMGs, someone has the crossbow here in this Black Ops 1 gameplay. Dude, you are set. You are set for a high round on Reese
as well. And if you didn't want to camp on the catwalk for some reason, you had a couple other options. There was an almost identical camping area down below where the grenades are.
Ooh, the bunker
barrier there. And you also had all three teleporters.
The bunker was okay. Me and my cousin actually. Shout out Glory Hole if you're watching this. But me and my cousin, we would always go down into that bunker right there, and that was our place. But kind of like looking back, not the greatest place to camp, because up here on this catwalk, you have this exit here on the rail that you could jump down if you get into some trouble. Push forward a little bit, jump down off the rail or out a window. The bunker down here, you don't have that. If you get into a sticky situation, you have to fight your way all the way to the front and through this doorway that we're in right now to even stand a chance at surviving, where you can go into the teleporter or run away. But
so you could zap back to the mainframe. Reese offered a duality of camping and training, which granted more options for more players. Now, of course, there are three different versions of Reese. You have the classic World at War version, you have the Black Ops 1 remaster, and the Black Ops 3 remaster. If you want the bare bones experience of Reese, hop on the World at War version. But bear in mind, there was a glitch with Wonder Waff where if you shoot yourself with the splash damage, you lose your jug ability. Black Ops 1 fixes all of these bugs.
You guys remember that?
Kick. The Giant is objectively the best version of
accidentally
the three,
take electricity damage from Wonder Waff.
The map obviously plays and looks much better, but it also added a lot more to the table. Gobblegum and Double Pack-a-Punch would creep their way in with Black Ops 3. It made the map far easier, but wasn't necessarily a bad addition. The Annihilator...
I personally think that Gobblegums, at least Megas, very much so take away from the experience of, I guess, the Giant, but Reese. Simply because it already is a straightforward map. Link your teleporters, pack-a-punch your weapons, survive. Like, the setup of this map is like playing this map. That's the point. So, like, when you take away from that, what's left? Like, when you have the Megas, when you get a Perkaholic, or, like, you know, Wall Power, or something like that, like what's the point of setting up? You know what I mean? Like what's the point of
also
playing
be added,
that?
and an Easter egg allowing you to obtain a 6th perk was added as well, either Deadshot Daiquiri or
the 6th perk Easter egg
on your specific game. For some, the Giant is a far better version because of how clean it feels and how advanced it is. For others, bare bones Riese will do. It really depends on who you are and what your playstyle is, but Riese is a great experience across the board.
I like them
the Giant
both.
was essentially a copy and paste of Riese.
I could play them both and have a good time.
It wasn't reimagined like Blood of the Dead or Classified, so I wouldn't consider the Giant its own map, hence why I'm not making an entirely different analysis video.
Thank you for explaining. That makes sense why we've seen so much Black Ops 3 gameplay. It sounds like he's just grouping them all together. The World at War version, the Black Ops 1 version, and the Giant as well. Just grouping them all together as one whole map.
For it,
I'm actually happy
the Giant,
about that.
The Giant is Riese, the same exact thing but in different languages. Riese captures everything that a good zombies map possesses. And I know I said
with
just
a cool
that
cutscene.
about Der Eisendrache, but Der Eisendrache is far more complex. It's in a different engine. It's a different animal. But all things considered, for what Riese had to work with, it was a perfect map. We should take a minute and appreciate how impactful
map,
this map truly was, whether or not you actually like it. It was simplistic, straightforward. Anyone could hop in and have a fun time and understand what was going on. It managed to do that while also making the biggest innovation of all time, Pack-a-Punch. It created a culture and helped shape what we know now as the zombies community. It took the biggest step of any zombies map to define what we know now as modern zombies. It created long-lasting memories of my friends and I just having a blast and surviving together.
Shout out to you guys. You know who you are.
And I'm sure the same thing goes for a lot of you. Much like any revolution, Riese brought major change. And if for some reason this map had never existed, well, I don't think zombies would exist. I think this is the most important zombies map ever. And
this is the one, guys. This is the map that most people, this one in Kino, but I'd say for at least the OGs, this is the map that just comes to mind when you say, boys, Friday night, zombies, let's do this. Like, oh my God.
Let's say it again. Like, our revolution.
Riese.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're ready for the next episode. It's going to be Keynote or Toten. I know you're excited for that. So
we're excited, Tim.
Right? You're going to keep up to date with everything.
Yeah,
go
subscribe to Tim.
Well,
yeah, let's leave a like on it.
My Twitter, Discord, and Instagram links are all in the description. It's totally free to go follow me over there, man.
Yes, go follow Tim Hansen. He got like I've said before, he has spent a lot of time on these videos. Granted, they're a few years old, but you know, still go leave a like on them. I'm having a great time reacting to these because wow, these are great videos, guys. Up next is Kino der Toten, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.